Now the history of Joy Division and New Order, a band who changed their name when Ian Curtis committed suicide 4 years ago this month. Despite the hits like Blue Monday and Thieves Like Us, the band have retained a cult image and a sense of distance from the rest of the music scene. This week they're the subject of a new book, An Ideal for Living, which to the uninitiated may seem as impenetrable as their record covers. It's written by Mark Johnson and 3 others and follows the band's careers from their beginnings in Manchester with an almost day-by-day compilation of press clippings. Morrissey, before we look at the book, perhaps you could try and explain the extraordinary appeal of Joy Division and now New Order, speaking as a fellow Mancunian.
I don't know whether I could explain it.
I mean, they're treated quite unlike any other band in Britain,
yes,
really, aren't
they are. I think most people's vision of Joy Division is entirely coloured by the death of Ian Curtis, and it's always really the really only factor that people seem to discuss. Joy Division were one group that I really didn't take to that much.
Did you used to go and see them in Manchester?
I saw them a few times by accident, but I can now completely appreciate their appeal. But I look upon Ian Curtis and certainly New Order as neither singers or lyricists, but as symbolists. I think they were quite accurate, and they had the spirit of the times. But I think it was totally false. It was like people saying, well, yes, this is how life is, totally without emotion, which of course they weren't. And we are totally hard people, which of course they weren't. It was like this complete affectation of people wanting to be something that they weren't. I find it quite sad, but in a musical sense, I hear nothing whatsoever. But
what about the book then? And does that sum up the people you saw in stage in Manchester?
The book confused me. When it was straightforward, written in almost a diary fashion, I found it quite interesting.
What about all those quotes from Ruth lectures and all that sort of strange stuff?
Ostentatious, it was very, very boring. But ultimately, I would support, at the end of the day, I would support New Order and Joy Division. But with some confusion, I'll admit.
Tony, not a band I suspect you'd approve of.
No, well, I mean, as long as people get pleasure out of them, that's fine, but it's certainly not me, no. And the book, I should probably think for the fans of Joy Division, it would probably appeal to them, but...
what did you make of it, though?
Well, I found it incredibly boring. There were certain bits of it that I found a bit disturbing as well. I mean, they were always trying to get over this fascist image and things like that. And, I mean, 1 or 2 bits and pieces. They
always denied they were fascists, but they did seem to give themselves fascist names.
The bit where it let down, I mean, Ian Curtis committed suicide, and the book didn't actually go into that. Now, anybody who is interested in that, I suppose that would be the thing that would be interesting.
There's some extraordinary quote there that it said speculation is not only futile, but an invasion of his privacy, which... as a journalist, I mean, that would seem to be the key essence of the book, is why the guy died, and you skirt around it like that.
I also think the book assumes that you know everything there is to know about Joy Division. Now, somebody, obviously, it's not really fair for me to judge it, because I'm not the slightest bit interested in them. It's not my sort of music.
Have you heard their music ever?
Oh, I've heard it, yes.
What do you think of it?
Well, it's not for me. No, but I'm very, I'm more into the soul sort of side of it. But the thing is that they assume that you know everything about the group. I would personally have liked them to go into detail about the individual members of the group, and they didn't do that. They went from one gig to another, and quite honestly, I'm not interested in the fact they appeared in the Cat's Whiskers Club in wherever it was, and they left the gear on the stage for a roadie to clear up. I mean, it's not interesting. I mean, that's what every group does. And there was one particular section where they said that because of Joy Division, or whatever they called themselves in those days, they proved that anybody could get together, even without being able to sing, being able to actually play an instrument.
They claim in Smash Hits this week they still can't play as New Order, which I thought was slightly curious. Well, George, I wouldn't imagine you as a Joy Division fan. Maybe I'm wrong.
You might be wrong.
I might be wrong.
The book just became incredibly suspect for me the minute I saw...
you do like them? I mean,
I do like them, yeah. It became very suspect when I saw that it was partially... well, a lot of the contributions were from a gentleman called Paul Morley. And
you don't approve of Mr. Morley?
You'd need a book a lot thicker than that just to list that man's ideas or hang-ups, whatever you like to call it. But it became very, very pretentious in so many areas that I actually didn't finish it. I didn't get anywhere near finishing it. And I actually really liked Joy Division, or particularly their second album.
What?
Closer. I thought Closer. The second side of Closer is one of my favourite albums. It's just beautiful. I mean, like musically...
24 Hours, sounds like...
I can't remember. There was The Eternal and... 24 Hours. There's just 4 tracks, which I don't even know the listing of, but they're just beautiful musically. I didn't actually see it. I thought their image, all the way through liking them. I thought their image was pretentious and contrived, and it did have very fascist elements to it. But I thought the music was great. I thought it was quite good the way they didn't harp on about the death, because that was like, I thought that was almost like them. It could almost have been engineered. It was like awful. It was the way that they were elevated after Ian Curtis's death was really sick. But it was
to make it a commercial book. That's what people
yeah.
want
I
to
mean,
know,
no.
George,
To be honest with you, I think that is
Yeah.
a book for people who enjoy the idea of factory.
The pictures weren't very
Thank
good
you.
either,
Sorry,
were
but
they?
to stop you there. And an ideal for living, a history of Joy Division is published by Proteus.